Well, I don't know if everyone heard about the 82nd Airborne deploying to the Middle East. Um, when they say the 82nd Airborne, they don't mean usually the whole division. It's just one brigade went to the Middle East for all the stuff going on over there. But I just figured I'd go over a little of my stuff that I've got for my short time in, and I'll back up to this, um, this right here, this Royal Dragon that we had in '96. I'll back up to that in a minute. I do have my rifle records from qualification here, from basic training. I'll go over that. But first, I want to go over this jump log to let you guys that never jumped, let you look at what a jump log looks like. And so you've got to get your 5 jumps in at airborne school down at Fort Benning. And so that's what we see there with Fryer DZ. Um, and you can see what kind of equipment, the type of jump, the type of plane, the date, and the pay period, because you have to jump once every 3 months in order to get paid for jump pay. So the first jump, very memorable. You know, it's the first time you're going to be jumping out of the airplane. We went through a couple weeks of training and stuff like that, and then you're going out first time. Second time, very memorable on the second one. I remember that one very well. I came down with no lateral movement at all, just came straight down, and it's possible that I got knocked unconscious on that second one, because you want to have some lateral movement to where you can do your parachute landing fall. I came straight down, hit very hard, and then things got kind of foggy after that. So it's possible that I got knocked out temporarily on that one. Third one, don't really remember the third one that well. The fourth and fifth were interesting because we had to do a day and night in the same day. So the turnaround on those two was very short. Did the daytime was the fourth one. You have to get one night jump in. We all assembled in like this big hall, and one of the officers gave some kind of like stirring speech about D-Day and all that, and about jumping in at night. And they actually got that. I don't believe that it was a C-130 though. I believe that was a C-141. I could be mistaken, but for some reason I want to say that was a C-141 jump, and it was at night. So yeah, so let's look at, and in that video I posted last night when I was talking about that DC-3, that's that one right there. That DC-3 jump was what they called the cherry blast. They want to get your first jump out of the way without carrying any combat equipment, because your combat equipment is going to be, it's up to, your ruck might weigh 60 to 80 pounds. You've got all your other, you got your weapon, you got all this equipment. They want to get that out of the way with no equipment on you. So I don't remember exactly what the deal was, but we were at Operation, we were at Robin Sage running adversary for the Special Forces candidates out there in Uwharrie National Forest, and I just got rounded up and told I was going to go jump. And next thing I know, I was at some airfield out in the middle of nowhere with some Special Forces guys, and I'm the only brand new 82nd Airborne guy. And they, so I don't know, it was like a Forestry Service aircraft or something like that. It's weird. I don't really know how that all worked out, but that's the deal on that jump. And it was a toggle jump. It wasn't a standard parachute. It was one of their parachutes, which was like I think they call it a -1 Charlie on that one. And it was like I think it was 2,000 or 3,000 feet. So you came down, had a lot of time. These other jumps, think your jumps that you have in airborne school are at 1,200 feet, I believe. And so 2,000 or 3,000 feet is kind of high for a jump, but you can see, so then we're getting to Fort Bragg here. Netherlands is at Fort Bragg, Sicily. C-141s. Those were, I believe that the MT is going to be your mass tac. So those were mass tac jumps, which means mass tac is where you're going to be. It's a battalion or larger. So those formations of C-141s is going to be 5 C-141s with about 100 to 110 people in each C-141. You can see the dates on those. But I do believe okay, so this one right here, this jump number 10, that was for every year the 82nd has every year they have end of May, around Memorial Day, they have a big jump for, people can come out there and watch and everything. So that was that jump. So our battalion actually jumped for All-American Week. We jump at they have a jump at the culmination of All-American Week. There's like a division review and all that. And we jumped for that. I remember it was super hot that day. And what was funny about that jump was the way we loaded the aircraft, where I was going to end up all the way down near Long Street. And because I was ending up all the way down at Long Street, our company mission that there's like 5 companies, and they all have these missions on the drop zone. So I was going to be all the way. I was going to be, Sicily's 3 miles long, so I was going to be about 2 miles away from my company, and I was supposed to somehow make it all the way down there. And when I came down on that one, when I came out of the aircraft, there was people everywhere. I actually got hit in the face with somebody's parachute when it came open, and I remember it was a real humid. There was cumulus clouds. It was just like a thunderstorm. You could just tell it was going to be thunderstorms that day. It was in the 90s. It was super hot. I came out. I got hit in the face with a parachute when it inflated. There was people sky sharking. People were yelling, and some of these guys were kind of crazy. They were sky sharking. They were these guys were going past underneath people and trying to steal their air away and things like that. They were doing all kinds of crazy things with the parachutes. And I came down on a hard pack road that runs on the drop zone. I came down to hit that hard pack, and it broke the straps that were holding my Kevlar helmet, broke the clasps right out of the Kevlar. I hit so hard on the back of my head on that one, and ended up getting knocked unconscious there for just a little bit on that one, because I came down on the back of my head. Well, we used to call it feet-ass head, and that's the way I came down on that one. So I remember that one pretty well, that 24th of May, 96. Netherlands, another mass tac, nighttime. I don't really remember that one. I got another Sicily, mass tac night. C-141, C-141, C-141. So you can see, let's see, we were doing a lot of training in 97 around that time. It looks like we did, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps, mass tac night between October and February. And you're going out there and you're jumping out, and you're not getting in trucks and just coming back. You're staying out in the field and doing operations out there. You're blowing up trenches, or you're doing all kinds of live fire exercises, road marches. You might be walking 12 to 20 miles in a night, sometimes from place to place. So, Holland. If I remember right, Holland drop zone, Sicily's the biggest one. Sicily's 3 miles long by 1,000 yards wide is Sicily. That's the big one. And then you've got Holland, and all these are named after during World War II, different places that the 82nd was at. But you have Holland drop zone. I don't remember. I think it's about half the size of Sicily, if I remember right. It's kind of hilly. And I think Netherlands is even smaller than that one. And some more night mass attacks on Sicily, C-141s. And I don't know what the deal was, why they did this on the back like this, but this is just kind of, I don't know. I've got two sheets, but for some reason, whoever was doing these flipped it around and started on this back, and then they started another jump record on another page, and I'll show you that in a minute. But so you've got Sicily, nighttime mass attack, more of those. Let's see, Geronimo. So Geronimo's down at Fort Polk. That's going to be when you're jumping and attacking those Op 4 guys down there on at Fort Polk. They call it going to the box. It's pretty interesting down there. You're down there for a couple weeks doing that. Sicily, more nighttime mass attack. And then now we get to, so this is, I don't know, like I said, I don't know why so it went from 27 here and then over here to 27. They've also got it over here on the back of this. Not, like I said, I don't know why, who was doing it, what the deal was with that, but so we got Sicily, that's a night combat equipment, mass attack night, C-130, 98, and then you have Germany. That's those two C-160 jumps, CH-53, and looks like somebody had to make a correction on that. And my last one was Ryan Luzon. I remember the Germany ones were pretty interesting because they nobody spoke any English. So I was expecting when we went to Germany to train over there that at least somebody would be able to speak English, but there was nobody that spoke English, and they just pretty much just kind of showed us what to do. And I mean, the stuff was all different, and it was kind of interesting that the way that they do things over there, it's a lot different. The CH-53 jump out the back, that was like I think it was at 2,500 feet. I don't remember. I don't know how I remember that or how I knew that it was at 2,500 feet, but I know that we were high because it took a long time to get down. And yeah, so Ryan Luzon, last jump. So I remember that one really well because we had new M4 weapons cases, and the weapons case straps to your left side on your equipment. And when you pull the strap that's attached to your rucksack and your weapon, if you do it right, your rucksack and your weapons case will go down 15 feet underneath you. That way you don't land with all your stuff on you. Well, so I get on the ground on that one. I get on the ground, and there's weapons cases, these new weapons cases that they had for the M4s. Somehow the webbing or something wasn't right, and they were ripping off. They were falling. You're in the darkness, and they had fell. All these guys M4s who came off their bodies, and they had fell and fell from 800 feet in the night. Luckily, nobody got hit because it was a couple of different passes on that jump. They can't get everybody out on. Ryan Luzon is a small drop zone, so with C-141s, there's no way to get everybody out on one pass. It's not long enough. So you had guys on the ground after the first pass, and you had weapons cases coming off of people's bodies, and the M4s and the weapons cases are falling 800 feet in the darkness. And we stopped once we assembled up in the darkness, we all started policing up M4s that were laying. Some of them were stuck. It hit the ground like barrel first, and it bent the barrels, 45, 90 degrees. These brand new M4s. It was very interesting. I remember I was a team leader. One of my guys was saying that he hit the ground, and then it was a couple M4s had landed, like, when he was on when the second pass came through, there was a couple M4s that actually hit right around him. But yeah, so it's got all my scores on here. So it's got my practice scores on here, but the main one to look at is going to be, this is the actual qualification here. So that was my number in basic training. So it's got, you can fire 40 rounds. You got to have 36 to have expert. So what was my first miss on this? So I missed at 300. Missed at 300. And I missed at 250. So then I had 18 on the first one. So that's going to be when you're supported, like in a foxhole thing. You're supported in that, and then you're on sandbags, and then your second half of it, you're shooting unsupported outside. So I missed 100. I missed the 200. So now I can't miss anything. And if I would have missed another one, then I wouldn't have had expert, but that's expert. So I just barely had expert on that. So this purple star roll dragon, that was an interesting jump. That was a C-130 jump, but we had so many people that were on that jump that from the British, us, all kinds of different units and stuff. We had to actually stage out of Cherry Point Marine Base out on the coast. So we took trucks out there, and we're out there at Cherry Point for several days in some of GP large tents, staging and going over like sand tape, like rehearsals and stuff. All this stuff is like a real combat mission. And they were going to jump all drop zones. As you can see, it says largest airborne operations since World War II. So this was in '96. World War II ended in 1945, as it was a big deal. And we had our mission after we hit the drop zone, but they were jumping all drop zones that night. Every drop zone was going to be used on Fort Bragg. And I'll never forget seeing all the C-130s landing at Cherry Point. And there was 41 C-130s that landed for our drop zone. And each C-130 can take, I think, around 60 guys. So that was just for our drop zone. And that was a very memorable jump. I couldn't get out on the first pass. It was at night. The green light went on. We flew around. Well, actually, back up. We flew around for a while before. Flew around for about an hour or two beforehand. And when we got close to drop zone, of course we stood up and all that. And then when the green light came on, it went red right before I went out. I was the last guy at my door getting ready to go out, and the red light came on. Couldn't get out, so we had to do what we call a racetrack. So we flew around the racetrack, get all the aircraft lined back up to come back for a second pass. And I got out on the second pass, come down, land, and I hear like a small engine on the drop zone, which is odd. You don't usually hear something like that on a drop zone. It was a Air Force combat controller came over with a four-wheeler, and I picked up my night vision. I looked, and I could see he had an infrared chem light on an antenna, so I could see the infrared chem light coming towards me. He comes over as I'm getting all my equipment off, and he's like, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." He goes, "Man," he says, "I was sitting there watching with my night vision, with my nods, watching the aircraft come over," and he says, "The guy that jumped right behind you, I thought it was you, but the guy that jumped right behind you, his parachute didn't open up, and he hit the ground." And it was a British guy. me and him had been talking. It was a British guy, one of the British paratrooper guys, and he's like, "You're gonna help me find this guy out here?" And I was like, "Nah." So I gotta get to our mission or whatever, and we went off the drop zone. So I remember that one really well on that. So, and on those large operations, you're gonna have. There wasn't a single large operation that we did when I was there for 3 years that I was there that we didn't have somebody get killed. I mean, it was, people got blown up, or somebody died on a jump, or somebody got ran over with a truck, or it was always something. So, but yeah, anyway, so that's just a little bit of my stuff there, some of my records and stuff, and jump log, all that. And if you find it interesting, you do. And if it's just me rambling on, well, I guess it is too. So, all right, well, y'all have a good one.